Hey guys, welcome back. If you saw the short that I dropped while I was in South Africa, then you already know that I wasn't able to test out this MeshPort Red Sena setup with the GoPro while I was there. Ran into trouble trying to get everything connected, totally on me, not on Sena. But I'm back now, and I want to do this test real quick. So today what we're going to do is test the audio coming over the MeshPort Red from the Sena to the GoPro. But the first thing we want to do is to get everything connected. So let's do that real quick. So here we have the MeshPort Red. I'll put a link to the initial video that I dropped on this, but as a quick refresher, the role of the MeshPort Red is to connect to the Sena Mesh along with other Sena Mesh devices, and also to allow you to pair a Bluetooth device to the mesh through the MeshPort Red. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to connect the Bluetooth audio from the GoPro 12 to the MeshPort Red. And then once we have that done, we'll turn on the communicator when we go out for a ride, and then connect the communicator to the mesh. So then the audio that's coming over the communicator from our mic passes to the mesh, and then from the mesh through the MeshPort Red, that's a lot of mesh, it'll put the audio then on the GoPro. So that's the theory. That's what we're going to test today. And step one is connecting the MeshPort Red and GoPro via Bluetooth so that we've got that audio coming over here. And the way that we do that on the MeshPort Red, we hold this button down for 5 seconds. Then we see the lights blinking blue and red. Then over on the GoPro 12, we're going to go over to pair device. It will search. Cue up the Jeopardy. There we go. The Jeopardy music. There we go. So we're going to select the device on the GoPro when our fingers work. And then it's going to negotiate a connection with the MeshPort Red. So now the light on the MeshPort Red is blinking green. That means that we're connected. Now, anytime we turn on both the MeshPort Red and the GoPro 12, then that audio connection over Bluetooth will happen. So with that done, we're ready to throw this on our helmet. And this is where I tripped up in South Africa. I forgot one important piece that, well, I didn't forget, I just wasn't aware of, because I'm not used to using Sena. When you turn the communicator on, in order to connect the Sena to the mesh, you have to hit this little button that's hidden up here on the top. Once you press that, then everything should work. Audio should pass over from the GoPro. One little caveat here, out of the box, the MeshPort Red and Sena communicators are set to communicate over channel 1 of the mesh. If you have changed your communicator to utilize a different channel other than channel 1, you have to use the device manager, the Sena device manager on your computer to change the channel of the MeshPort Red to communicate on that same channel. Right, so both these have to be on the same channel. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably never changed the channels, which means that you're both on channel 1. You should be good to go. Now, with that out of the way, I'm going to hop on the bike. Let's go do a quick test.
Okie dokie now. Everything should be hooked up. I have the GoPro hooked up Bluetooth audio to the MeshPort Red. And then I have the Sena 50S hooked up to the MeshPort Red. And we should be getting audio. I'm actually also recording audio directly from the mic into the GoPro, so we can do a little comparison, perhaps, of the, oh man, look at this traffic. Do a little comparison of the audio coming over the MeshPort Red versus coming directly over the lav. Oh man, traffic's a bit much. It's a bit much. It kind of sucks. Welcome home. So yeah, I'll be interested to see if this will work. I'm on my way downtown to meet up with Volts, grab some coffee, catch up on what's been going on while I was away, and also to give him the 50R. So Volts is going to install that 50R onto one of his helmets, and then after Christmas we'll get together, ride around a little bit, and get him connected to the MeshPort Red, and then we'll see how well this setup does capturing not just the audio from my Sena here on to the GoPro, but also then how it works as far as group rides and the audio coming over that. So, all right, and nothing to see here other than friggin' traffic. Yeah, I tell you, I kind of got used to lane splitting, or filtering rather, in South Africa, and right about now I'm really jonesing just to cut up through this and get up to that light. But you know what, I'm back in the good old USA in Virginia, where they say you can't do that stuff. Don't know why. Sure makes life a lot easier for motorcyclists and for people in vehicles. Yeah, I don't really care about people in the cages, but you know, I got to say that anyway. Okay, so let's get back home after I meet up with Volts. I got to stop saying hook up, because the young people that I work with informed me when we were in Africa, when I was talking about hooking up with some folks there, that you're not supposed to say hook up anymore because it has some kind of sexual connotation to it. I wish they'd quit changing the definition of words. But let's get back home and take a look at this and see what we think.
For the clip you just heard, I had to boost the levels of the audio coming over the Sena. It looks like it was recorded at about minus 20 decibels, so I boosted that up to minus 6. Now, a couple of things to note there. One, I was using the button mic that came with a Sena, just like I did when I used the button mic that came with the Cardo. Did not use the boom mic, which probably would have better fidelity because I couldn't fit the boom mic in my helmet. That was a problem. Maybe we'll try to redo that test with the boom mic later. The other thing is you can clearly hear the voice isolation and the noise reduction on the audio with the Sena, just like we could with the Cardo. Now, in this next clip, what we're going to do is take a listen at the audio as it came across into the GoPro and was recorded unaltered from the Sena, as well as from the lav that was connected to the media mod on the GoPro, so you can hear the difference there. Okie dokie now. Everything should be hooked up. I have the GoPro hooked up Bluetooth audio to the MeshPort Red. And then I have the Sena 50S hooked up to the MeshPort Red. And we should be getting audio. I'm actually also recording audio directly from the mic into the GoPro, so we can do a little comparison perhaps of the oh man, look at this traffic. Do a little comparison of the audio coming over the MeshPort Red versus coming directly all over the lav. Oh man, traffic's a bit much. So just like we heard when I did the testing of the Cardo unit, you can clearly hear a difference in quality of the audio coming over the communicator or from the communicator as opposed to that of the lav connected to the media mod, and that should be completely expected. But this solution of recording audio over the Sena through the MeshPort Red does work. Another thing to note is that the Bluetooth on the MeshPort Red is 4X generation Bluetooth as opposed to the 5X on the GoPro. So I'm not sure if they upgrade the Bluetooth in the MeshPort Red, maybe that will increase the quality of the audio a little bit, but it does work. Now, the next test that I'm going to do on New Year's Day, when Volts and I get together for our annual ride, I've given him a Sena that he's installing on his helmet, and we're going to be testing recording full audio from a group ride over the mesh with the MeshPort Red and the Sena units. And I think this is where there's a clear advantage of Sena over Cardo, because I have yet to be able to get group rides recorded over the Cardo connected directly to the GoPro. So I'll see you for the next test in the new year. You guys have a great holiday season. Happy New Year. We'll see you then. Peace.